Welcome into the Armchair Illini podcast. My name is Austin Burklund. So excited you guys made us a part of your day. This is the Armchair Illini podcast, and we have an exciting show today. We have Alex Kyi alongside Greg from Sleepers Media to join the show. But the Armchair Illini podcast is always fired up to team with Hamilton Walker's Seafood and Spirits, hands down the best dining experience in Champaign-Urbana. We're talking prime steaks, fresh seafood, and a vibe that's perfect after a big Illini win. And here's the game changer. Every single home game, we're giving away a $100 Hamilton Walker's gift card on our social media. That's right, dinner on us. Follow Armchair Illini and Hamilton Walker's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to get in on the action and experience Hamilton Walker's, where Champaign-Urbana comes to celebrate. Again, this is the Armchair Illini podcast, and we'll bring on Alex and Greg. Thank you so much for making time for your out of your days to join me on the Armchair Illini podcast. Greg, what are your initial thoughts on this Illini basketball season as we are a few games in?
Incredible, fun, surprising. Maybe Illinois fans aren't as surprised as I am. I expect Brad Underwood teams to be good and entertaining every year, but I did not expect to be 4 games in thinking this team might be the best team in the country, and that's about where I'm at. The talent level is ridiculous. They're as vetty as build all offseason, but I mean, the 2 best players on this roster are freshmen, and I don't even think the biggest prognosticators around saw that coming. Did not see Mirkovic and Wagler being this good this quickly. So you mix it with how good Boswell looks. You got to get both Ivisic healthy at the same time, and I think the sky is the limit whenever that happens.
Greg, first off, thanks for coming on to our show. It's nice to finally meet you too. We've been going back and forth on Twitter for the past couple years. It's mostly driven by me, so nothing personal. It's always something that we have fun with. I always clown you guys, but appreciate your guys' work. It's awesome. Check it out every day. But I was watching your guys' show today and saw that you said that David Mirkovic is a Brad Underwood player, the perfect Brad Underwood player. You guys talked about Coleman Hawkins, talked about Io. But you said David Mirkovic is the perfect Brad Underwood player. What did you guys mean by that?
Yeah, to me, I really have struggled to think of a guy that just seems so naturally perfect for who Brad Underwood is as a person. And you guys probably know Brad better than even I know him, but as someone who has an appreciation for what this Illinois program has become under Brad Underwood, to me, there has to be this perfect mix of, tenacity and physicality and skill, but also like some chaotic crazy to him, right? And I think Coleman fit that bill. I think to an extent, Io as a competitor fit that bill. But I truly believe Brad likes wild cards. He likes guys that are going to mix it up and keep things interesting. And sometimes that's been to the detriment of his locker room because he'll just put too many wild cards in the room at once. And to me, this year, Mirkovic is perfect because he clearly is a good culture guy. Some of the stories in the offseason were they had to, kind of be careful with him in practice because he was overly physical and overly aggressive, and players were dropping like flies in the summer. And it's manifesting in just the perfect form. You can tell Brad is on him to, set rebounding records. He had 21 rebounds the other night, and afterwards they both kind of looked at each other just like, yeah, that's what he's capable of. And I think Mirkovic gave all the credit to Brad with how much he's been pushing him and yelling at him. And from my interpretation of watching it, Mirkovic is the type of guy that I think his love language is being yelled at and vice versa. And it's very rare to have a player that thick-skinned that just takes it and runs with it. And he's one of them. I've enjoyed the David Mirkovic experience so much, and I know Brad Underwood is too.
Yeah, I mean, he reminds me of a Thomas Walkup that's 5 inches taller. I mean,
Yeah.
Thomas Walkup had that same kind of tenacity. That's why SFA was so great in those early weekends of March Madness. But you look at another freshman in Keaton Wagler. What do you make of his development of a stud player to start his career?
Yeah, I think he's amazing. He's one that has been difficult for me to fully wrap my brain around because I feel like the loudest buzz from the offseason was that Wagler might be the best player on this team, might be the best guard, and I just really didn't buy that. With all due respect to him, it was not what I envisioned being realistic for this team. And then you got to exhibition season. I thought he looked really tentative in the exhibitions. And now as time goes on, like the numbers he's averaging are ridiculous. The only reason they're not the loudest story here is because of how amazing David Mirkovic has been. So, I love watching him. I think you can see very clearly that there's an NBA player in there at some point, whether that's a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now, who knows? I think to me, he clearly needs a little more strength. This is like the perfect Fletch prototype, right? You've got the best strength coach in the country. And whether that comes by March or whether that comes with an offseason with Fletcher, you can envision what Wagler would be with just a little more brute strength to him, because I do feel he's so effective at getting to the free throw line, but he has great footwork. And sometimes he just gets bumped off his spot a little bit on drives. And the moment that changes, he kind of looks like an unstoppable force to me. But what's beautiful about Wagler to me is like this team doesn't need too much from him. Like it's almost a luxury. If he leads you in scoring, great, he earned it. But you think back a year ago to Kasparis, who in his own right was amazing. That team needed 20 and 8 from him every single night. And if you didn't get it, that team was in trouble. This year, Wagler can have like a 10-point game, shoot 3 times, and no one even cares because there's so many other players on this team that can come in and out. I think it's a luxury. This roster's perfect for him. And it's a credit to him that he's putting up the production he's putting on a team as deep and as talented as this. He's really amazing.
Greg, you look at some of the duos in the Big Ten, and I think those are kind of the storylines. You look at Oregon, you got Jackson Shelstead, Nate Biddle. Purdue, you got Braden Smith, you got TKR. Before the season, everyone was talking about, Kylan Boswell, Tomislav Ivisic. Ivisic hasn't seen the floor except for one game, and now people are kind of talking about Mirkovic and Boswell / Wagler. Or you could even say Stojakovic and Boswell. I think that's what's so good about this Illini team is that you could pair up multiple people on their team and put that duo against anyone in that conference. In terms of Illinois' supposed duo, where would you put them, in the Big Ten when you look at Nate Biddle, Jackson Selstead, or whoever Michigan has and whoever Purdue kind of pairs up?
It's an amazing question. It's kind of breaking my brain right now because I'm realizing in real time what you just laid out in your question. There's almost 3 different duos on the Illinois team that you could argue are in the top 5 in this league. Like to me, I think Kylan and Andre are like soul siblings. They almost belong together, clearly, right? So I would lump those 2 together. I would lump the 2 freshmen together, and then I would lump the Ivisic twins together. And we still need to see them on the court together, but like it's pretty clear what they can be and are collectively as a unit. So I don't know. It really is the beauty of this team, man. There's just so many guys that's how I would divvy it up. To me, I think Mirkovic and Wagler have an argument to be 2 of the 3 best guys on this team, at least until Big T is back. Kylan's been amazing too. I'm not trying to discredit him at all. But to me, I think Mirkovic and Wagler have a case right now to certainly be a top 3 duo in this league, which again is crazy because when Kylan and Big T are healthy at the same time, that's probably an even better duo than Wagler and Mirkovic together. I know I'm like word vomiting effusive praise for this, but I'm truly in awe of where this team is at right now. And, I did not love the pitch all summer of, well, we were too young. We don't want to be young. We want to be vetty, and that's going to fix things. Like to me, basketball at the end of the day does come down to talent. And last year's team did not fail just because of youth. It failed because of the things you were lacking around the youth. And it's almost funny to me in an ironic way that this year's team has it all. Like you didn't pivot away from youth. You just got vetty while also maybe upgrading the youth. And it's amazing. It's made me such a fan of this specific team. And I can't get over how talented they are, to be honest.
Let's look on the gloomy side of things just for a little bit, Greg, with us. If this team doesn't hit its ceiling, what do you think that reason could be?
I think it's going to be harder than I'm making it out to be to juggle the moving parts of getting everyone healthy and keeping everyone happy. And I am a big, emotional, that stuff matters to me more than most people on paper. This is one of those things. Guys are feeling out their roles right now without the best player on this team. And when Tomislav comes back, are guys going to be happy sacrificing? Are you going to be able to make it all work? There are a lot of great skill sets and a lot of personalities in this locker room, like there always are with Illinois. So I think, at the end of the day, I can't call that like a negative. We're talking about adding Tomislav Ivisic back. That's one of the best players in the country. It's certainly not going to hurt things. But I do think probably similar to last year, you could see both Merck and Wagler go through stretches where they aren't playing to the level they've shown through 4 games. And, is Illinois going to be able to survive and sustain that? Last year's team really struggled with that, with all the adversity and sicknesses coming in and out. I would guess there are a lot of revolving, moving musical chairs again with this team. Did Brad learn the lessons from last year? Is this team a little bit deeper to help survive it? I think they are. But I think it'll be a lot of the same challenges last year's team faced as conference play arrives.
And then speaking of that, I think heading into the season, everyone's been like, it's Purdue and then everyone else. You kind of threw in Illinois, Michigan, Michigan State, UCLA, kind of in that same second tier bunch. So outside of Purdue, who would you say is Illinois' toughest matchup and probably their biggest competition outside of Purdue, of course?
Preseason, I would have absolutely said Michigan. Michigan does not look good at all right now. I mean, not to overreact too much, but this week they were very fortunate to get out without a loss against TCU or Wake Forest. I still think Michigan will be in the mix. I think Wisconsin is a lot better than anybody realizes right now. But if I'm really being honest with you, I think Illinois has elevated themselves out of that second tier and into the Purdue tier. And I really think those two look to be top 3 or 4 teams in the country. I mean, we're a couple years removed from really an Illinois-Purdue head-to-head battle for this league. And I would be surprised if that's not where this is headed as the season goes on.
You look at the rest of this Big Ten, who is a dark horse team that you just really like that may not win the conference, but are definitely going to give a lot of the top tier teams fits?
Washington's a team that has my attention, and they might end up earning their way into that top tier. But for now, I don't really feel anyone views them that way. They've got a kid that is similar in terms of what he brings to the table to Mirkovic right now, and Hans Steinbach, who is just productive. He's averaging like 13 rebounds a game right now. He's not the scorer that Mirkovic has been early, but he was the best player at the FIBA World Cup event this summer on any team, playing with Christian Andersen on Team Germany, and he was even better than Christian was in that event. They've got JJ Mandaquit, a freshman point guard that is an elite assist rate guy that's going to cause a lot of problems in this league for 4 years if he's still around. And Wesley Yates, a breakout sophomore scoring sensation who was great at USC last year. I like what Danny Sprinkles put together. They took a bad L against Baylor on the road, which, kind of brought expectations back a little bit because I really liked them going into that game. But I think, when they get Des Claude back, they'll be a tough out night in and night out.
I think one of the biggest things that I've followed while watching your guys' show has been Brad Underwood kind of transforming the perception around this program. I know you and Carter are huge Brad fans and have followed kind of what he's done, especially in the past 5 years. But as someone who's followed the Big Ten for as long as you have, what exactly in your eyes has Brad Underwood done for Illinois in terms of the perception? Obviously on the recruiting trail, things like that, but just the overall perception and the winning that he's brought, to Illinois in the past 5 years or so.
Well, he's given it an identity. And I've joked about it because there are wild swings with this program, but I think that's just Brad. Like, Brad is an emotional guy that is not afraid to sort of change the way he does things to fit his team's skill sets. And I think that's very unique in college basketball right now. There are so many Hall of Fame level coaches that approach it trying to do the same thing every year. Like, I'll give Tom Izzo as an example. One size fits all with his teams. He is trying to build the same team he built in 1999 that is exactly good at the same exact areas. And he's great at it. Don't get me wrong. He just won the league by 3 games. But, 1 year a Brad Underwood team can look this way, and next year, or maybe even next month, they might look completely different depending on how he feels is going to help his team succeed. And I think he doesn't get enough credit for that. I would compare where Underwood is at in his tenure right now. He just signed an extension. He could be here for 10 more years, if not more. And he's just waiting for that March breakthrough. And his teams have certainly been good enough to have one by now, but March is fluky. We say it all the time. Like, great coaches don't necessarily get that breakthrough when they deserve it. I would compare it to Matt Painter as little as 5 years ago, where, Paint was at Purdue for 15 years. They lost that first round to a 16 seed. There were legitimate sources wondering if he would be fired. And you fast forward 4 years later, he's spit out 4 consecutive teams that have been ranked number 1 in the AP poll at least once in the season. Like, it's only a matter of time when a coach this good stays that long and keeps getting shots at it. And I really do hope this could be the year for Brad, because I have a lot of respect for him as a person. But I wouldn't be surprised if we fast forward 3 years and we feel the same way about Brad that we currently do about Painter, where it's like, oh, he got over the hump and now it's happening every single year.
How would you grade the Big Ten in terms of hot seat? Is it going to be a cool throne for most coaches in the Big Ten, or is it going to be a furnace at the end of the season?
I think it's cool right now. We were kind of doing an exercise in the offseason on this. There's really only 1 to 2 schools that aren't happy with their head coach right now. And obviously that can change, but there's been so many new hires in the last 2 years that I don't think there's much urgency to change here. Outside of Rutgers, Steve Pikiell's in trouble. And I think Penn State, depending on what happens with Mike Rhodes this year, could be the other. But pretty much everybody else either feels they could make the NCAA tournament this year or has a brand new coach and they're going to give him a couple years. Even Mike Rhodes, like, they're rumored to get Dylan Mingo, the 5-star point guard who's a brother of Caden Mingo, the freshman on his team this year. Like, if they get a Dylan Mingo commitment, Mike Rhodes will be here next year at Penn State. So it's really all eyes on Piscataway. And I'm rooting for Steve Pikiell, to be honest with you, because I love Steve Pikiell. Think he was a very underrated head coach for a very long time in this league. And he's got his work cut out for him after the Dylan Harper failure of last year.
Yeah, I think Pikiell is one, and then I think if Hoiberg does not make a NCAA tournament, his seat definitely warms up, but his buyout's pretty huge.
Yeah.
In terms of just the rest of the Big Ten, which matchup? I know we talked about who is the biggest threat. Who do you think would be? It's like, man, I really want to see Illinois go up against these guys because of X, Y, and Z.
I mean, selfishly, Michigan and Illinois is going to be amazing this year. The Merez Johnson return game
In Champaign.
Yeah, it could break the internet, right? I'm
Right.
afraid for him to go back in that arena. But also, like, at the same time, I think that whole situation, like, they kind of deserve whatever's coming to them. Knock on wood, as long as Illinois fans don't cross the line. Like, I have no problem saying, like, they burned bridges on the way out, and this should be a ferocious environment. So, look, I think Michigan, they're nowhere near what I think they should be at some point this year. Dusty May had a similar start to last season. If you remember, they lost to Wake Forest in game 2, and it kind of took him a month to really get Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden going. Presuming that Michigan does make a similar arc this year, the battle in the front court, even beyond Merez and Mirkovic, like the Ivisic brothers against Adai Mara and Yaxel Lendeborg, is like 6 monstrous individuals with different skill sets. And I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I am convinced that the Michigan program is just totally cursed against Illinois. So I don't have any real hope that Michigan's going to win that game, but I'm excited to see what it looks like.
All right. We have the number 8 Illini. We have number 1 Purdue, 7 Michigan, 17 Michigan State Spartans. 23rd is the Wisconsin Badgers, and number 19 is the UCLA Bruins. Which team will not end 2025 with a top 25 ranking?
Ooh, I think it's UCLA. That might be the cop-out answer, the lowest team here, but I've been disappointed in their start. I think Donovan Dent is going to struggle against high major opponents as the season wears on. He really was not great in the NCAA tournament, lost to Michigan State last year. He really did not look the part against Arizona this past week. And look, they're still going to be good. UCLA was a top 25-ish team last year with nobody good at point guard. But I think that Xavier Booker choice Mick Cronin made at the 5 was a mistake. And I think that will bear itself out as the season goes on. He's just not physical enough for this league. And if you couldn't cut it under Tom Izzo, quite frankly, I'm not confident you're going to cut it under Mick Cronin. So I'll take the Bruins, but that's also me mostly saying I could see all of those teams finish in the top 25.
I'm just really excited for the Mick Cronin crash out at some point, as he's already had one after the first one, where he kind of just roasts his team in the press conference. So I'm ready for that next one. I also watched today's episode where Cart put Illinois at number 4. I thought that was pretty adventurous, but I think it's definitely reasonable given how they looked against Texas Tech. Illinois plays UConn, Tennessee, Alabama in a couple days. They have some pretty fun non-conference games. That game versus UConn, what's your take on that one?
I'm curious if UConn gets their freshman shooter back, Braylon Mullins, because he's very critical to what they want to do. And I think UConn was pretty impressive against BYU this weekend, but they really are getting some empty minutes at that 3 spot right now from Jalen Stewart, who's kind of the veteran replacement without Mullins. They've got everything else they need. I mean, they fixed their point guard issues. Terrace Reed's taking a leap at the 5, and Solo Ball and Caravan are national title good. We know that. So if they get Mullins back, it sounds like he might be back earlier than people expected. That's going to be a gauntlet of a game. I'd like to think that Illinois can hold up well in that game. I come back to that tournament game, though, where Brad's plan was just not it in that game. And as much as we give him credit for adapting in the big picture, like would have loved some adapting in the middle of that game instead of just.
It was running the ball with 11 men in the box.
Yeah. And
he's been stubborn in March.
Which smart people have explained it to me years later of like, hey, Illinois felt their best chance in that game was foul Donovan Clingan out. And if that's the pitch, I can see the vision for it. It didn't work. So, look, I would say this. I like Illinois better than all those teams this year. I really do. And it might seem crazy right now, but I know what my eyes see right now. They've been as impressive as anyone in this sport, and it's going to be about sustaining it and reintegrating Tom Ivisic to it. But I just wouldn't be surprised, if they lose 1, even 2 of those games. It's not a panic button this year. It just really isn't. But I would not be surprised if they run the table in the non-conference and come into conference play as one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league.
The Armchair Illini podcast is pumped to team up with Campus Inc.'s official Illinois NIL store. Get officially licensed gear from your favorite Illini stars, Luke Altmaier, Terrence Shannon Jr., Kofi Coburn, and many, many more. Support your favorite athletes and rep the orange and blue. Use code Armchair Illini for 15% off today. That's Armchair Illini for 15% off today. As you can see, Alex is wearing some Campus Inc. merch as
Andrei
well.
Stojakovic.
Absolutely. Current and former Illini stars just all over that website. So Armchair Illini for 15% off today. So you look at this Big Ten strength. How do you compare that to other conferences? Is the SEC still the mighty league this year, or do you think it's the Big 12 with all of their star power, but maybe not the depth of some of those rosters?
I think analytically it's going to grade out as the best league. I really do, because of the depth. I mean, there's a legitimate argument that 14 of these teams could be NCAA tournament caliber, and it won't bear out that all of them make it because some will eat each other by the time conference play gets here. But it's really not that crazy to believe that there are 14 teams that are top 50 caliber in the sport. In fact, that's what KenPom has right now. And Oregon is 15th. I mean, think about it. Oregon was a preseason top 25 team, and they're 15th in the league analytically right now. It's crazy. I personally, depending on how you answer the question, I think the Big 12 is what I would consider the best league, because to me, there are probably 5 teams legitimately in that league with national title aspirations. To me, in the Big 10 right now, I see 2. I see Purdue and I see Illinois. And you could make an argument Michigan gets there. You could make an argument there's 7 other top 15 teams. But in terms of strongest league, to me, it really does come down to who has shots at winning it all. I think the Big 12 between Houston, Arizona, BYU, if Darren Peterson ever comes back for Kansas, you've got Iowa State, who's incredible. There are a lot of shots at it in that league, and that's probably where I would go.
Final question for you. Who wins the National Player of the Year award this year?
I got to go with my guy, Braden Smith. And I think Trey Kaufman-Renn, I mean, his rebounding has really changed things for Purdue in the 2 games he's been active. He's gone from a very weak rebounder to the number 1 rebounder in the country through 2 games. We got to see if that sustains. But all that to say, if TKR keeps this up, it might be hard for Braden to win the award because TKR has looked like Purdue's best player in the 2 games they've both been available. But no, I'm going to stick with it. I think Braden really, if he stays healthy, is likely to set the record for all-time assists in NCAA history. And I mean, this is a narrative-driven award. I think there's a lot of great freshmen that all are impeccable. This class as a whole is amazing. But if there's a debate on who the best freshman is, and there's 3 of them, there's not going to be a debate on who the best passer in NCAA history is if he sets that record. So give me Braden Smith to hold it down and get there, but I think it's going to be a gauntlet of a race.
Greg, I want to thank you for joining the Armchair Illini podcast. As always, follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Armchair Illini. Visit armchairillini.com for all the best written work from Alex Kyi, Kirkland Chappell, and Robbie Nardini. Greg, where can people find your work and where can people consume your media?
Hey, first off, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. Like you guys said, we've gone back and forth on the internet quite a bit in the last couple of years, and it's always fun, always cordial. We try to plug you guys as much as we can. I know you do the same, so thank you for that. It really means a lot. And yeah, you can find us at Sleepers Media. We make way too much content 5 days a week. We love Big Ten basketball. We love the sport as a whole, and Illinois is probably my favorite non-Michigan team to cover in the entire country. So can't wait for this season.
Love the shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Final question, mini question. Who is the craziest fan base on social media?
Such a loaded question. People won't believe me on this, but Illinois fans don't feel that crazy to me because I think I relate to them. Like, I don't know what it is. If there was a fan base I most would want to like get a drink at the bar with, it's no question Illinois. The craziest ones to me are ones that feel very different than me inherently, and it's got to be Purdue, which is really difficult because we're trying to make a show with their point guard for them, and I'm learning how to do it better. But I got to go Purdue for that. I really do.
I was not expecting that one.
I love them. Don't get me wrong. I love them. But
they're a bunch of crazy nerds.
It's been a journey for me to figure out how Purdue fans are wired over the last couple of years. It's come a lot more naturally to relate to Illinois through the years.
Greg, that was awesome. This has been the Armchair Illini podcast. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you again. And this has been the Armchair Illini podcast.